Hey, what's going on, guys? The Horror Man back with an announcement video. I'm gonna keep this as brief as possible, but I'm announcing two new series. The first one is yet another collaboration with Jason from Horrific Nightmares, and it's called Anthologies of Horror. On Mondays, starting next week, we will be reviewing random horror anthology segments from horror anthology TV series. You'll see segments from Tales from the Crypt, Tales from the Dark Side, The Twilight Zone, Are You Afraid of the Dark, and many, many more. In fact, we will be covering over 30 different horror anthology TV series. Jason and I will be watching all of the segments together, and each week we will be highlighting the same horror anthology show. However, the segments we review in our individual videos will be different. For example, if it's Night Gallery Week, the segment I review will be different than the segment Jason reviews, even though both of our videos will be reviews of Night Gallery segments. While there will be plenty of variety throughout the Anthologies of Horror series, we will be returning to different horror anthology shows as time goes on. In other words, there will not just be one Goosebumps week or 1 week focused on Freddy's Nightmares. We will be covering multiple episodes or segments from each series throughout. And by segments, I mean segments. There are certain horror anthology shows that featured one segment per episode, and there were others that featured multiple segments per episode. Our review videos will be titled based on the title of the individual segments, so you won't necessarily know which show we're covering until you watch our videos. We figured that would add a fun mystery element to it. Also, the reviews won't be full-on reviews. We won't be spoiling plot twists, and will more or less be highlighting why we chose each individual segment. Anthologies of Horror starts next Monday on my channel, and Horrific Nightmares JM. And the second series I want to announce will be open to all who want to participate. As a matter of fact, the more participants we have, the better it will be. This challenge, however, won't begin until January of next year, 2024. So why am I announcing it now? Well, you'll find out in just a minute. Like the Slashback Challenge a few years back, and Tuesday Top Tuesday last year and earlier this year, I love coming up with challenges that involves the horror community. This one, I can honestly say, is about which I am most excited. It's called Franchise Frenzy. How many times have you heard someone say, or you yourself have said, a certain horror movie franchise is your favorite? I know I say that. We all do. There are certain horror franchises I consider to be my favorites. But what actual proof and statistics do we actually have to back that up? Sure, we can say we just like them the most. I get that. But wouldn't it be fun to actually put it to the test? That's exactly why I came up with Franchise Frenzy. Now, let me say, I'm going to announce this again at the end of the year, when it gets closer to the start of actual Franchise Frenzy. But for now, here's a brief description of what we'll be doing. We're going to take part ones of horror franchises and compare them. So, for example, the original Halloween versus A Nightmare on Elm Street, versus Friday the 13th, versus Child's Play, versus Scream, and so on. In each Franchise Frenzy video, which will start out just one Friday a month, we're going to rank all of the part ones. First place gets 1 point, second place gets 2 points, third place gets 3 points, and so on. Just like golf, the lower score, the better. By the way, I almost called this horror golf, but Franchise Frenzy had a better ring to it. The following month, we're going to take the part twos of those same franchises and rank them. Then part threes, part fours, part fives, and so on. By the end of Franchise Frenzy, the franchise with the lowest score will objectively be your personal favorite. After all, it will be you ranking all of the films the whole time. Of course, everyone's individual rankings will be different, but that's how we'll know what our personal favorite franchises are. Only horror franchises should be considered, and only franchises containing 4 or more films. If there are only 3 movies in a series, it's a trilogy, not a franchise. The most important thing, though, is that each movie is ranked against its counterparts. Part 1s against Part 1s. Part 2s against Part 2s. All by release date. Sometimes you might have a prequel up against the 3rd sequel of a franchise. That doesn't matter, as long as each were the 4th movies released in that franchise. Again, I'm going to explain all of this probably at the end of this year, when it gets closer to the start of the challenge. So if you don't fully understand now, don't worry about it. But that leads me right into why I am announcing it now, so far away. On most Fridays for the rest of this year, leading up to the start of Franchise Frenzy in 2024, I'll be uploading Franchise Frenzy reference videos. In these videos, I'll go through a particular franchise showing the order of release, for those of you who might not know for sure. Some will be more obvious than others, but some are a bit tricky. It's necessary to put the right movies up against the right movies. They have to be against the same movie in their release order. So these reference videos should help. Jason will also be doing some of these, so between me and him, you guys should be covered. But while you're at it, and you still have 6 months to do so, you might want to catch up on some franchises you haven't watched or haven't watched in a while, so you can accurately rank them. You can choose however many franchises you want, but the more the better. But once you commit to those franchises, you have to watch every movie in them, so you can rank them accurately. You cannot skip any films because that would ruin the entire thing. When you reach the last movie of certain franchises, that franchise is done, and you continue with what's left over of the other franchises. Obviously, you do not have to own all of the movies to participate. You can watch them any way you like. In fact, you don't actually have to watch them at all if you feel you're truly familiar with them, and you can accurately rank the films. Although, and this should come as no surprise, Jason and I will personally only be featuring franchises of which we own all of the movies. Stay tuned for the first Franchise Frenzy reference videos coming soon. So much for being brief, huh? Well, like I said, I had to announce these 2 series. I hope you decide to join in for Franchise Frenzy, and if so, please comment below and let me know you're in. Feel free to start preparing now. It'll be starting before you know it. We're already halfway through the year. As for Anthologies of Horror, well, that starts on Monday. Until then, thanks for watching, guys. Hit that thumbs up and, be kind, subscribe.